What's up, Joe?
Hey, good morning. How are you? How's everything? What's
Life
happening?
is good. It's all happening. We got people in the chat. I guess I got a good night of sleep. You know, Kelly was off at a conference for the first part of the week, and I
Yeah,
don't know why. Do you sleep well when Chelsea's not there? Like if Kelly's
it's
not,
weird. It's
yeah, I don't
strange.
sleep
Yeah.
well if Kelly's not there. Um,
Yeah.
it's like the house noises get louder, and you've seen, you know what I'm talking. You've seen the. It's like the weird, and then we had this weird. It was 80 degrees here on Friday, and by Sunday morning, I woke up to like 4 inches of snow.
Really?
Yeah, this is
Wow.
bonkers. And then more, not yesterday, more on Tuesday as well. We got another 6 inches on Tuesday. So
did it stick? Does it stick?
yeah, but part of what's making all the noise is it's these heavy clumps fall out of the trees. So like at 3 a.m, like what's that story at Christmas? Oh, the night before Christmas, where guys like, yeah, and I awoke with a start. Like, man, I flew out of bed. Like I was like, who's in my house? What invasion is happening right now? And it was just the heavy snow, just dunk, 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 not snowing, like falling out of the tree above us. You know,
Wow.
so
Wow.
yeah.
I never thought of that. Wow. Okay.
So anyway, I've been seeing some new names in the chat. This is cool. New people hanging out. And I don't know how crazy you must be because the latest it could be in the United States is 7:33 right now. And you guys still show up, which is great.
Yeah.
It doesn't speak to any sanity, but, you know, well, yeah, of course, my wife is our protector. Like none of us admit that, but yeah, that's exactly how it works, man. We're just lost souls until we put a rudder on the ship. You know what I mean?
And if you are joining us maybe for the first time, I don't have any ideas about snakes. I don't have any snakes, and Adam does, and that's the point of this. We talk about stuff. I ask questions like, what's a BP? 16 eggs from a BP. What is a BP? I don't know. I don't understand these things. And then everybody makes fun of me and.
Yeah, well,
Joe doesn't know.
We'd call that one a ball python, Joe. That's
my gosh,
yeah,
it's a ball python.
It's the thing.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. 16 eggs from a ball python. That's a lot of eggs.
Hell yeah, it's a lot of eggs. Yeah, we average about 6 eggs per clutch. So if you get 16,
so how do you get 16?
Well, I mean, you know,
it just happens.
Well, no, some are bigger. Like that would be you'd have to have a really pretty old, mature female ball python to pull off 16 eggs. She'd have to be huge too.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why it's noteworthy, and that's why there was an exclamation point at the end of the comment. Yeah.
But it's a ball, like 16 eggs from a ball python. Like that's like, wow. Could you get 16 eggs from another reptile? I don't know.
Oh yeah, from like boas give live birth, but you know, a reticulated python or a Burmese python would lay, you know, 30 or 40 or something like that.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I see. Now I understand. That's why I didn't think it was a ball python. I thought it was something else.
Well, it's actually can even be like a selling point, like we, you know, Blocker says, you know, 3,500 girl gram, her average is 13. When it comes time to sell these animals that you're not, you know, you don't need their genetics anymore, so to speak. It'd be a real selling point if you had, you know, 6 years of production history of 13 eggs each. You would go, well, okay. You might be interested.
I see.
Yeah, you might pay a little bit more for that animal.
Okay, I see.
As a breeder. Yeah.
So what happened to you this past week? What's the thing? What's the thing that happened to you?
I had to make a list, Joe.
Really? That's how exciting it was?
Yeah. Well, and then I got thinking too, I might even add a little something to the bottom of the list, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. So, we've been working on this thing called the EPIC conference, the Exotic Pet Industry Conference. That is
tonight.
Yeah, it's Friday night. It's here. And I'm like, I think everybody in the audience that's here has seen the ads and knows what's going on, but it's this really cool industry opportunity. You know, we put some metrics together between the producers and the guests There's 40 of us. There's 40 people that we figured out how to get basically in one place at one time with one vision. Really, really cool. So,
that's a really tough thing.
Yeah, and then like
lots of egos involved.
Yeah, it's the kid gloves. You know what I'm saying? But we got just some highlights. Josh's Frogs is delivering the keynote address in the YouTube track of My World. Bob Bledsoe, Adam Wickens, Brian Cusco will be there. Executives from Palm Street and Chewy will be presenting. Just a really cool night of industry information and content. And it's all available during the conference, but afterwards, you just have to sign up. Epic.live. You know the drill by now. We've been pushing it. Now's the time, though. It's tomorrow night, so I hope you join us.
What time? What time tomorrow night is it? Do you know?
It'll be 7:00 Eastern, 4:00 Pacific, and the sweet spot's in the middle. Well, you know how to do your math. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. All right. So, and then if you miss it for some reason, will it be available? Yes.
Oh yeah. And you actually probably physically can't consume it all. You can't consume it all in one place,
right?
Unless you had 5 logins on 5 computers at one time, which would be asinine. So the content is accessible after the fact. You just have to.
We don't want to put down anybody who does that, though. That's dedication. That's good.
You couldn't consume it, though. You could have 5 headphones of 5 chats at one time. And by the way, I think asinine is an underused statement of a descriptor. So let me just note, though, it's free. The content is free. It will be free. It is advertiser funded. The platform is great. I worked on it last night with Bob Bledsoe, and it's called Brand Live. So you got to go to epic.live and you have to register, but just to get access into the platform and the content. Anyway, it's a cool thing. Hope to see you all there. We're excited about it. We put a lot of work into it. Then Sunday, so I do that Saturday night. Friday night. Saturday, I head off to South Dakota, which I've never been to. Going to Sioux Falls. Don't know much about it. I checked out some demographics, though. I think it's a healthy town with a little bit of extra spending money. The average per capita income pretty solid. A little bit north of Fargo on the metrics sheet. South of Fargo geographically, and I'll be vending there on Sunday all day, and then I'll drive home Sunday night after vending.
So it's what are you saying? It's a inexpensive place to travel to? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm saying I think these folks have accomplished things in their lives, and they got a little.
Oh yeah, okay.
They have a little extra money to spend on luxury items like high quality Proper Royals ball pythons.
I see. Yes. That harkens back to our conversation a few months ago about certain demographics. Maybe it was a year ago at this point, of looking at certain demographics and trying to figure out if you can go into that area and if that's a better area to vend, right?
Well, you just try and find an angle, and that comes into today's conversation. You know, when you look at things like a professional gambler, they're looking for just that one little slice of detail, one little shred of evidence that'll get you above somebody else. So the reality of it is I vended Fargo last year on sort of good references and referrals. Well, this show in South Dakota, it's the first time they've ever done the show. And I'm like, I'd rather vend at an established show. I hope everybody could build their business and be successful, but I don't necessarily want them doing it on my test runs, so to speak. These things add up. So what I did was I looked up the demographic per capita income of Sioux Falls, and it actually was there's a higher population and a higher per capita income than Fargo. Otherwise, very, very similar. No shows within 4 hours, only one show a year, and maybe a market that's a little thirsty for some inventory.
That's great. That's good. That's why you chat. So how far is Sioux Falls from you?
It's 4 hours. So that'll be.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know that area of the country. I can't wait to get up there this summer. And It just seems like it's so much farther away from each other than it actually is.
I've experienced that. So let me give you 6 hours Chicago, 5 hours Milwaukee, 3 hours Des Moines, 6 hours Kansas City, 4 hours Fargo, 4 hours Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
That's weird.
Really
I don't know
neat,
why.
right? Yeah.
Like so, like what? And I think of the Northeast part of our country like being so together, like so close together. But from my house in Eastern Pennsylvania, right along from where I grew up, right along the Delaware River, 6 hours to Boston, 6 hours to Pittsburgh. So it's like I don't know. Maybe it's strange to me. I don't know.
But we don't have that in Florida where, I mean, you kind of do. You got Orlando, Tampa, Miami, all within 5 hours, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But then again, out of Jacksonville, if you head west, there's nothing till like New Orleans. I mean, that's a long way, you know? So you got, Anyway,
I'm not in Eastern PA. I said my house. I grew up in Eastern PA. Yeah, I grew up there. That's where I'm from. Yeah.
So Sunday is South Dakota. Next Thursday, it's pretty cool, Joe. I got to take you to this place when you're up here this summer. There's an old 1800s opera house that we have in town, and it's this kind of cool dinner and event and
cool. That's nice.
Entertainment venue. Well, I'm playing there on Thursday night. So
hey,
yeah. So I got I'll be opening solo, and then another band plays the second set, and then the third set we've actually put a show together. So I'll be fronting the band the third set. Then next Sunday I'm vending here in Minneapolis. I got my certificate of occupancy in the renovation at the car wash this week. Final inspection passed.
Really nice. Any pictures you can share?
No, not yet, because it's still got I still have the construction paper on the floor. It just looks like I painted the white walls and there's this big HVAC thing. And otherwise, it's a completely unremarkable room.
So,
just in a picture.
What are the next steps then? What do you need to do?
Well, I have
Does everybody listening know what Adam has done over the past 4 or 5 months? Incredible stuff.
December 6th, I bought a car wash because I thought it was a good idea to convert one of the bays to a Reptile workshop space. I have now done that. But I still have some, I'll call them superficial, non-structural things, but I've still got a few things that I've got to get. It doesn't make sense to move the rodents in until I have something to contain all their dust. So I got to build a little, room for them. And then if there's one thing the car wash has pre-existing, it's water and plumbing. But I've got to adjust some fixtures and fittings and all that. I got to be able to get a sink in there. And then interesting, this is a fun story. It has floor drains, which is one of the things that I really wanted in a perfect facility. I wanted in-floor heat and I wanted floor drains, and I found that. So I took out the grate for the floor drain. So there's an 18-inch deep and 18-inch wide trough. And he's like, you can't just have a hole in your floor. And he's very concerned with structural things. So I was kind of hedging on I'll put the grates back on. I took them off when I put the epoxy floor in. And he says, Adam, I got to tell you, you got the main drain that connects to the city sewer right there. What happens if one of your snakes gets out and then it crawls into that drain? And in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm actually going to put a floor over this and actually install a true floor drain that will have a grate and only a pipe that goes in that connects to the main drain. And, but I don't know these commercial things. I don't know if I need a licensed plumber to do that. I don't know what the code is. I don't know what he's going to say to me, so I got to roll the dice here and dance a little bit. And I was like, well, yeah, what are you thinking? And he's like, well, you got to seal this thing off somehow. And you got to make sure that the drain is an appropriate cover and some sort of filter or mesh on it. And I'm like, yeah, what if I put a floor and then I installed an actual floor drain? And he's like, that sounds great. And I'm like, all right, we got a deal.
That's funny. That's great. That's great.
So
So you
anyhow,
had it. You had the plan, and then see, it's all about manipulating people. That's what it's about,
I
Adam.
did not manipulate the man. I figured out what he was going to want, and I made sure that I didn't show my cards prior to understanding that. So
That's
anyway,
so funny.
new pictures will be forthcoming. I just they're like I say, everything's just totally unremarkable looking right now. It's just a white wall with construction paper protecting the floor. So soon enough, but not quite there. Legally, totally there. It was really great. I asked the guy. I said, I've never had one of these zoned and inspected buildings before. What's the future look like? Do I have to stay in touch with you? Do you have to come once a year? What's going on? And he looks at me, he goes, nothing, we're done. And I was like, my man, adios.
That's great. What a hurdle to get over. That's
Yeah, it
fantastic.
actually was a real mental boost. Like nothing in reality really changed. I still have work to do, and I still got all the moving and everything to get done. But yeah, good mental boost to move forward. So
Yeah,
and
that's great. That's great, man.
and then last but not least, my Florida Gators will be in the Final Four. They are in the Final Four. They'll be just smacking Auburn around this weekend, and then by Monday night playing for the national championship.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know anything about this.
Little
But
sports ball tournament.
congratulations, I guess.
Well, I had a lot to do with it. I got to say, like, if really there was something that set them apart, it was my support.
That is always funny when you go, well, we won the Super Bowl. It was a wonderful experience. We won the Super Bowl. It's like, No, we didn't do it.
It could be a banner year for Proper Cup of Joe. You get your Super Bowl chip. We're going to get the natty. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Yeah. I didn't know you were so into we're talking about basketball, right?
That's correct. Yes, we're talking about basketball. Look, I'm generally not. I mean, how many games do they play? 40 games or something. But I do like I think the NCAA tournament is an incredible. It's just this neat, like, if you really think about it, it's like a real microcosm of like American optimism. Just give me one shot, and it's win or go home. It's do or die. There's no loser bracket. There's no 2 out of 3. There's no series. 68 teams. Off it goes. Who's going to win?
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah. It sounds fun. If only I liked basketball. I don't know.
I got to admit, if my Gators aren't there, it's I don't know. And I don't gamble, so it's not.
Right.
I could see it would be just a playground for gamblers. That'd be fun, but it's just not my thing. So
yeah. Not a gambler.
All right.
I think it would be dangerous if I started, though.
Oh yeah, it can't be healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We'll talk a little more later about that, but it's not for me. But Joe, in all of this, I didn't forget about you this week. How are you feeling? You got 12 days until either people have their act together or they've put in an extension. So you're going to get a breather on the 13th day, man. How you doing?
Hopefully, I mean, we're doing great, actually, business-wise. Me personally, I want this to end now. I do want it to end, and I'm ready for it to be over, and so that things kind of go back to normal. But we're doing great. I mean, we're talking taxes here, if people don't realize. Yes. That's right.
That's right. The actuarial paperwork and duties that accompany Joe's life is, and we all know this is coming to a head on the 15th, right?
Yeah, right. Everybody. You should get your act together. If you haven't gotten your act together, that would be good. You won't go to jail or anything. I know that people say that. They go, the IRS is going to come and get me. That's
like the adult version of the boogeyman under the bed, right? Like, oh, there's a monster in my closet. No, you just put. All right. Oh, hang on though, because people might need to hear this. Let's say hypothetically, not that any of our audience would be this way, but hypothetically, let's say somebody didn't have their act together. They wake up, it's April 13th, and they're like, uh-oh, I'm going to jail. What do they need to do? It's pretty simple, right? You go to the, you put a little extension in, right?
That's it. That's all you have to do, and it doesn't take much to do to file the extension. So
doesn't cost you
just
anything.
at least file the extension. That prevents you from getting a penalty for failure to file. Now, if you owe money, it doesn't prevent you to get a penalty for failure to pay. So there's interest then on your payments once you actually do your taxes. So, but this is not, I'm almost falling asleep to this content. So,
well, I just want to give some people some hope that if you find yourself in trouble, don't hide from it, because it is just going to grow like a monster in your closet. But you could just file you a little extension and on you go.
Yes. Yeah,
oh, look at this. We got some experience here from Josh. You got till midnight to get that bad boy postmarked right there, you know?
There you go. So anywhere in Florida, you just have to go to the Orlando airport.
Hey, look,
make sure that you're there by midnight.
Hey, Orlando's a geographical oddity. I mean, from almost anywhere in Florida, you could be in Orlando within 3 hours, except for Pensacola. Right. In Pensacola, you're in trouble. You're done. But otherwise,
some other problems. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible actually that we've held it together, and our tax processes are really good. That was one of the things that I mean, I want to talk about concerning today's topic too, which is just strange. But so yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm ready for it to be over. Just get some relief. But because of the extensions, it's going to continue after the 15th as well. It's just not. We won't have to work late nights and weekends and stuff like that. You know.
Do you have a little unspoken thing now? You could just wink or give a little itch or whatever. Maybe you can't publicly acknowledge these sorts of things, but come the 16th, let's say April 16th is a Tuesday. No matter who's put in what extension, you guys are like, we're not doing anything on the 16th. Is that right? Like, you're like, I don't care how urgent you think this is. Either you made it or you didn't. And if you didn't, we'll see you around the 22nd or so. We're going to check out for a minute.
I don't know. We haven't really done that in the past. We just kind of, we just kind of, it's another day. We still, because there's a lot of people who, there's a lot of people who worry about, even when you say extension, they go, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. And they want their taxes done as quickly as possible. So, you want to make the customer happy or the client happy. So you just keep going. We haven't done that in years past.
But there's not like a little 24-hour stomach bug that goes through the whole office. And there's just
I haven't noticed.
People come down with.
I haven't noticed that.
Okay,
because we have the best staff in any accounting firm. So they're good people. So
we used to have a little a wink saying that we had an eye problem, and the person would go, oh, what's wrong? And you would go, well, I just can't see myself coming to work today.
I'm sure
so maybe you're going to have an eye problem. Who knows?
The stress and the urgency with which we are working will definitely decrease. But maybe we'll do a lunch or something. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish you well. I am encouraging of such behavior if anybody's wondering, particularly you, Joe. But I wish you well, and I hope that on the 16th day you do get to rest. That would be fantastic. I have commandeered the show for 26 minutes. What do you got going on? What's your thing this week, Joe?
My one thing was it was my birthday on Monday.
I totally dropped the ball. Man, oh man. Jeez.
I'm terrible with birthdays. I don't remember birthdays, and I don't expect other people to remember the birthday. And it's terrible. But it was my birthday, so you think about you think about life, you reflect on what you've done.
Yeah. Did you do the old man thing? You're like, you're
yeah. I'm 46. And I don't know. I thought I'd be farther along at this point. At this point in my life, I thought I'd
What?
I
Okay.
don't know, have a nicer car, I guess. I don't know.
Well, all right. So a couple thoughts there. One, let's get the easy one out of the way. You have a beautiful home, and I'm not even just like blowing smoke here. It's a gorgeous home. It's a wonderful
Yes.
place filled with love and happy people that you have had an impact and an effect on creating that love and happiness. So that is
Right.
the absolute truth that I'm saying to you. But more interestingly, what did you really envision growing up 46 was going to look like? Did you have this like what did you?
No, because I don't think that way. It's funny that I do like get to these moments where I go, I should be doing something different, or it's funny that you have, because I don't like you and I have talked about this. That's not the way that I think about my future. I go one step at a time. What do I want to do next? What do I want to do next? And then it just leads there. It's not like I have a 20-year vision like you have.
I was going to say that I am the flip side with the psychopathic life spreadsheet. I could tell you to the month what my future should look like.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's funny. I'm holding myself to a standard that I've never even created before. So it's really strange. It would be strange. It's a strange thing to do. But I think that's just, I don't know, maybe I'm not getting down on myself.
Yeah.
It's just a part of aging. I think you go, okay, well, at this point, like if there were any thoughts of where I would be on my 10th blockbuster movie, just acting and and maybe I would have been in the Five Timers Club hosting Saturday Night Live. Like that's what I thought I would be doing when I was a kid. So,
okay,
but see, the thing is, I never really tried to get there.
So there's still opportunity, or you could take a little bit of pride in knowing that you watch movies broadcast to the side of your house from your hot tub, which overflows into your pool in your backyard. You're doing great, Joe.
Yeah. That's good.
Go hunt somewhere else for your sympathy on this topic, pal. I'm not hearing it. I'm not having it.
I wonder about, is that a common thing as for your birthday to go, okay, I don't know, maybe it's more positive. Maybe people are more positive. Maybe people go, okay, yes, I'm much better off than what I thought I would be. And it just seems like strange.
It is. Well, we do these like arbitrary trips around the sun that we celebrate.
Right. Yeah.
And like, really, it's just a celebration of still being alive, because literally every other person on earth has done what we did, which was be born. And so we're just like, okay, we're alive. We made it. We're here.
Yes.
Yeah. I forget.
It's kind of like it's funny. Like I know it kind of diminishes like the purpose of the birthday, because everybody has done it. But actually, I think there is something kind of beautiful about that. Like, the common denominator of the people living on Earth is that they are living. And so it's just nice to go, okay, you're living. And that's something to celebrate.
Well, and maybe that's perfectly average. You've been born, you haven't died, and that's the average benchmark. You're perfectly average when there's a birthday, right?
There is another benchmark.
Yeah, you're way behind schedule, pal.
Ball pythons behind schedule. I'm very as a kid, I thought at this point, 46, I'd have 16, 17 ball pythons.
You are behind schedule. Yeah, that's true. We should fix that.
Yeah.
I think the band is called the Old 97s, and they're like a garage rock, just a good rock and roll like bar band, but they've had some success, and they're good. They're a really good live band. But I think it's them that has it. I'll have to look it up. But they have a song called nothing happens at 47. So like he's singing about different things that have happened in his life. He made a little money made a little money at 22, at 37. I met you, got the house here. This happens, but nothing happens at 47 is the hook of the song. It's the title of it as well. So you have a year to look forward to on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like 46, I don't know, what do you celebrate? Like I didn't really do anything. Actually, though, I am having people over on Saturday.
There you go.
It's a reason to have people over. So
perfect. All right.
We're doing it.
Well, should we try this this convoluted topic that entered Adam's brain this week?
Yeah, let's, because I'm interested to hear what you have to say, because I've been thinking about it ever since you presented it to me. But do we want to take care of the people who take care of us?
Yeah, let's take care of the proven winners before we talk about the challenges of being a success or a failure. Let's go with the winners here. First and foremost, thanks to Josh and Sarah at Sundog Serpent. So you can see their logo up in the top corner there. They just vended Jacksonville this past weekend, Repticon. They are out of Orlando, Florida. Obviously, they could ship nationwide. And ball pythons, if you're into the whole Axanthic tribalism, these are your TSK people. And I just saw they had a little lock from some blood pythons too that they look amazing. I'm not sure that I know anything enough about blood pythons to want to get into them, but if you're into that niche species, they will have blood pythons as well. You could find them on Morph Market and Instagram for sure. Go check them out and give them a follow. And on the Florida circuit, if you get a chance, go see them in person. Awesome people. And it's cool that I'm thankful. It's cool that they're here supporting the show, but these are two folks, Sarah and Josh, that we've worked together and known each other now 3-4 years at least. We met on that Florida circuit. Sarah and I vended together a couple times, and they've just been good friends and good supporters all along. So very least, go check out their Morph Market, give it a follow, see their content on Instagram. Joe, it's breeding season. Wednesdays, I pair the snakes. So Thursday mornings, the room is full of the smells of ball python breeding down here. That's if there was like a scratch and sniff, it'd be, Anyway, how I track all this activity is through Husbandry Pro. You can use the promo code PRoyals60. Get yourself a 60-day free trial. I track breeding, multi-generational information, my incubator, the eggs, feeding, who's feeding on what, when they fed, and all of that you could pass on directly to the customer once you sell snakes. So I keep organized now with Husbandry Pro, and I recommend it for you all as well. They have a marketplace coming soon and a variety of options that I have not even scratched the surface on. So check it out. Again, you can get the free trial. You don't even have to enter a credit card information. You can just get started, get to work. And if you decide to extend it, then of course you'll need to pay. And to be honest, the prices are really, really advantageous as well. And last but not least, my old friends at Cold Blooded Cafe. They were just at Dallas NARBC this past weekend. Maybe that was the weekend before, whenever that was. And I saw them at Tinley as well. But the freshest frozen rodents in the industry, they are still who I use for my frozen rodents all these years later. Go check out Cold Blooded Cafe. You can use the promo code PROPER11 for 11% off of your next order. And I don't want to wade too deep into this, but there's rumors out there that the competition might be using non-domestic rodents that they ship in. And we got this little tariff thing going on these days. They produce their own rodents in their facility in Indiana. They're probably going to have a little bit of a advantageous price leverage and be really well situated in the coming months and years. So
that's great.
Yeah, give them a shot. And 11% off is nothing to shake. Or what, I don't know what the expression is. It could be significant on an order of frozen rodents. So go check them out, and I think you'd be very happy with the product. There we go. And the audience too, man. We had a good crew earlier, and we're gonna have a good crew that stay with us here. Thanks for everybody for being active with us.
Yes, thanks everybody. This is great. So Adam, so tell me about your thoughts this week on the thin line between success and failure.
Yeah, and I don't I think everybody knows I don't like the word failure. You don't fail until you quit, but you also have to be realistic about your results sometimes. So
Yeah. Okay.
failure isn't finite, but you can have failure on small points that you fix or improve or learn from, and you go on. So I listen to, in the daytime while I'm working, I listen to a lot of sports radio talk. And there's a guy who's gold from like 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., just the sweet spot of chore time while I'm just working, scrubbing tubs, all that sort of thing. And his name is Joe Fortenbaugh, and he's an analyst on ESPN, but he's also a professional sports gambler. He's I don't know, maybe all kinds of gambling. I don't know. And I think that he even jokes, he calls himself a degenerate, or professional gamblers degenerates. But when you listen to this guy, you realize this is not drunken barroom wagers. This is not street numbers, rackets. He studies and he finds these angles, and he does what's called handicapping. And you look for what's the one thing that's going to give you that edge to make a smarter decision. Is Jalen Hurts going to be in a position to do the tush push? Well, okay, he's going to do well if he gets those, but does the other defense allow 4th and 1s, or do they shut you down before you get 4th down? Because if the defense shuts you down before you get to 4th down, Jalen Hurts ain't going to do any tush push, right? Because they need more yards. All right. So, and anyway, this week he said something that really caught my attention, and I had to look into it. He says the margin, or the metric for success when it comes to professional gambling and professional gamblers is to be right 54% of the time.
54?
54, which means he's okay with being wrong 46% of the time.
Oh, geez.
That seems like a painful existence, right?
Yeah.
And it also told me that these guys have to place wagers in very high volumes. And I mean volume of wagers, not volume on one wager. Right. If you gotta, maybe you need 100 wagers a week to get to 54 of them being right and 46 being wrong. And that diversity of wagers is in fact a hedge against losses. So, but here's what's even crazier. So I looked into this, I did some research, and I think that there's even a website called like gambling.com or something ridiculous. But I found note of this 54%. Joe, it's actually even slimmer than that, because the average take of the house, you know, when you have a mortgage, they charge you a closing cost, which I really don't even know what the hell that is. But it basically means, hey, we're going to get you your money, but you're going to pay us up front. Whether you pay anything else ever again, you're going to pay us this closing cost. So the average house charge is 2.4%. So they got to overcome the 2.4%. Stick with me. 54% minus 2.4% actually leaves 51.6. So if there wasn't a house rake, 51.6 is where they would need to get to be successful. That is a tiny margin of difference because coin flips would be 50-50, right? Mm-hmm. So they got to try and figure out how to get to 51.6. And the flip side is they got to figure out how to not fall below 51.6. Yeah. And that reminded me of two things: how narrow our margins are in the reptile industry, and how much we rely on odds, statistical odds and percentages that we should be hitting, which relate directly to a roll of an unloaded set of dice.
Okay. And when you're talking about odds and rolling the dice, you're talking about breeding and what kind of animal that you get from this.
Right. Should somebody who doesn't breed ball pythons or reptiles or any other animal have stumbled into our conversation today, when you look at a Punnett square, if you have a dominant gene and you breed that to an animal that has no copies of that gene, statistically, 50% of those babies are going to have that dominant gene and 50% will not. That's statistics. Mother Nature does what she likes. We all know sometimes you roll the dice and you get 3 6s in a row. But in professional gambling that I've heard this guy Fortenbaugh talk about is the results always return to the mean. You're not going to consistently beat the odds just on odds. So you got to find that one little bit of information. You got to find that one angle that's going to give you an edge over the next bettor or the next ball python breeder or the next reptile industry. And so it goes down from 54% down to 51.6% is that margin of what makes somebody successful and what makes them not successful.
So what are those factors that a breeder looks for? And what are those things that you like what you said before, like, okay, we're going to make a bet on how many fourth downs Jalen Hurts can get, using the tush push. Looking at all of those different factors of, well, what's the defense? Does the defense allow for short yardage on fourth downs? Like that kind of thing. Like, are there notes are there things that you all look for that are good for your breeding and reduces or mitigates that risk of failing or not getting what you want?
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I want to be very clear. I personally, we can even see some of this in the conversation here. I personally do not believe that any one animal regularly beats the odds. That's like having a lucky pair of dice. Okay. It might happen. It's totally coincidence if it does, though. Over time, over that massive quantity of sample size that comes with time and volume, the odds will be the odds. We have to remember that. Nothing is as amazing as it seems, and nothing is as horrible as it seems. It is the average, and over time, the average will be the average. So, to your point, if Adam is saying, well, none of that can be controlled, and the average is the average, why even have this show? What the hell is Adam talking about? I have an answer, though.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the odds only affect the actual eggs that get laid. I think the edge is figuring out the systems, the processes, the efficiencies to make sure that your females come to full term and do lay the eggs. We always talk about the females that go. And when we say they go, that means that they're laying eggs. But we hear about the ones that don't. And those fluctuate wildly. Those are not based on odds. That's based on environment, on care, on body condition, and that can be affected. So my thought is you got to set the stage long before you actually get to the odds. You got to make sure, because that's a binary yes or no. That's not 51 or 54%. That's 0 or 100. So if you can, the more hundreds you can nail, you're going to raise your success rate infinitely just by having females that go. And I'll tell you that I'm looking around the corner. I'm going to guess your next question is something like, well, what percentage of these females usually go? I could tell you early
you should
on.
Let me ask that question.
Joe, what would you ask next if you were to ask that question?
What is the percentage of females that actually go?
In my experience as an early starting out breeder, which I still consider myself that, it's only been slightly above 50%. Yet I hear these experienced breeders talk about 70 to 80%.
Really?
And they, big surprise, are the ones that have made it, that have been around long enough, that are experienced and established, and that set the standard. So I started asking myself, how do I get from 50% to 80%? And that's been kind of a ongoing thing. So there's been some external factors that I could control, but just that came into play. I moved in the past year and a half, and in the past, since 2021, I've moved 3 significant times. So atmosphere, consistency, environment, stress, all that changes with a move. So going to try cutting out moving, although now I got to move into the car wash. Hopefully that'll be less stress. But that can be flexible. I could wait till after they've laid to move. Whereas moving to Minnesota was like, no matter who's what, where we're going,
Right. Yeah.
so, so the moves were a little bit different, but,
so wait, you might have some snakes at your house for a little bit and some snakes
correct
over at the car wash. Yeah.
And
okay.
I
So
will.
you gradually. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. That won't be a might. That'll be definite.
That'll be a definite. Okay.
Yeah. And then like little things over time that you hear about, I can use, and these are all things that aren't required. They're just little things that I think help. Having an ultrasound, so I know when to pair the male, that without getting too graphic, maybe the male is at his freshest and perhaps most potent. You don't have to wear out the valuable males. Breeding my own rodents so that I have live feed when these moms need a lot of nutrients to produce these 13 and 16 egg clutches. And when they want to eat and when they want to build, you want to be able to feed them right away. But if you only go once a week to buy rodents, you might not have that at your fingertips to be able to feed them as they're building. And
okay.
I call it an all you can eat buffet from 10 millimeters of follicles on the ultrasound to about 25. Man, I just offer them food. They just get
okay.
That's a reproductive metric that we look at. We ultrasound snakes and we measure before we call them eggs, we call them follicles. The things that will become the eggs are the follicles.
Okay. Now, let's just back up for a second. I just want to ask this. So when you say they're ready to go, at what state they're ready to go? What?
Ready to go to make eggs.
They're ready to breed?
Well, okay. All right. So this is great. This is why we did this show, because this is like Thanksgiving dinner where people are like, what the hell are you talking about, Adam? The breeding
I know it was like 4 points ago, but
no, it's great.
I'm kind of caught up.
This is why we do the show. Yeah. The breeding cycle is a 1 year annual cycle. So you get one clutch of eggs per year, average of 6 eggs.
Okay.
About 6 months before, this is all about 6 months before they lay, you'll see the female physically building. She will eat more, her body condition will change. Yeah. And at that point, you can break out the ultrasound and you start looking for these things that we call follicles, which will become eggs. And we measure them, and we measure them in millimeters. And at around 40 millimeters, they ovulate, and we call the follicles then they are released from one part of her body to another part of her body. And that's where they come in contact with the sperm and they are fertilized. And then we call them eggs versus follicles.
Okay.
Until she ovulates, a female can, for whatever reason, absorb those follicles instead of letting them go to full term and becoming eggs. And when they absorb, we say they don't go. They absorb. And that's where, like I say, in my early breeding time, which I still consider myself in, I've averaged slightly north of 50% of these girls, of the females,
being ready to go.
Yeah, that may go.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
you the things that you're manipulating are the factors that lend the females to not absorb their follicles.
Right. We're trying to give them the environment to make sure, or to really encourage that they won't absorb their follicles. And part of that gets magnified when you're an early breeders. You might have a lot of first-time females that are still young. They might be immature. Or they might be sort of, maybe it's better to wait another year. Maybe you want to breed them now. And it's hard because 2-3 years is a long time to wait. Like you want to figure these things out. So all of those factors play into it. And we talk so much in the industry about the odds and the results. We can't control those. So I wanted to go back to a place where we can control, and that environment, and I believe cleanliness, systems, processes, care for the animals is where we can affect that 51.6%
Right. Yeah.
in gambling analogy is what
So
we're looking at.
and going back to that analogy, something that you said earlier is you're making a large number of bets. You are making
Right.
a large volume of bets, not just volume on one bet. You're making many, many, many different bets in order to get to that percentage of winning.
Correct. Much like
Yeah.
the idea of investing that diversity is the only free lunch or diversification, I think that's the same thing. And I want to be careful here because we are talking about live animals. I'm not saying to breed just for the sake of breeding, but your results get more normalized the larger the sample size. So this year I'm pairing about 50 females. With my historical trend, that would say I would expect only just north of 25 clutches. Hopefully, by the end of the year, in another 8 months, we'll do a recap, and I'll say, wow, I got to 37 or 40 clutches, would put me in that 75 to 80% range.
Hang on, you lost me because you're breeding 50 females.
Correct.
So and meaning you're pairing them with males.
That's right.
Okay, but why are you pairing females that have reabsorbed? I don't understand that.
No, they have not yet reabsorbed. They are fertile at this moment.
Okay.
They are showing the signs of building. It is that time of year where they build.
Okay.
And I will find out which ones reabsorb, which ones lay fertile eggs, which ones lay.
Oh, I see.
Because the other thing is they can lay infertile eggs as well. That's the other problem. So do they get past the absorption? Do they ovulate? Then are the eggs fertile? Then come the odds that we all want to talk about, but really there's nothing we can do about the odds.
So at what, wait, say those like four things that you said just now. Maybe they do this, maybe they do that. Like go through that again.
Maybe they get to ovulation, so they dodge. The term is resorb, but a lot of us say reabsorb, which it's only one. It's not. It's a different. It's written as resorb. So anyway, but they dodge the resorption and they ovulate. Then the eggs that they lay, will they be fertile?
Okay.
Then will the eggs last in the incubator? Like, do us humans screw the problem up?
Yeah, right.
Then what are the odds that we hit or that we miss? That we can't control those. We know what they should be, and over time they will return to the norm or to the average. But clutch to clutch, you can have outstanding odds and poor odds.
So what you're saying is that those first three stages, there are more factors that you can affect as you breed them.
Absolutely.
There's more factors. Yeah,
there's definitely more. And Phil brings up a good point. He doesn't use an ultrasound. There is a breeder here in town that I look up to immensely. His name is Joe at JSA Reptiles. Joe doesn't use an ultrasound. Dale, Constricted Reptiles, doesn't use an ultrasound. These guys have it figured out. They have the timing. They have the indicators down, and they know their animals so well. They don't use them. And Joe even talked about only pairing one time. Even with an ultrasound, I still pair once a month, and that could go on for 3, 4, 5 months. So the education that those guys have figured out even more how to affect the environment, how to really, really dial in their opportunities for success. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating. That's really so. Do you think your move is going to offer more possibilities of you increasing to that 70%?
The move to the car wash?
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's an interesting way to put it. The environment should be even more stable. Now I've got a pretty stable environment down here. I mean, I've got the mini split right behind my head there. We've got the HVAC system of the house, but it does fluctuate. Some of the things aren't insulated as well. It's an older house in Minnesota. So it should be more stable there, and it should be more consistent. I don't have in-floor heat here, and heat rises, but if it already starts at the top of the room where you could see the mini split, it's much harder to circulate air down and heat
Okay.
down. So I do have some variation in temperatures in here. Whereas if the heat starts from the floor and rises, then it's going to be far more consistent top to bottom.
I see.
Which should eliminate
Gotcha.
some variables as well, I am looking forward to that. I also should have better humidity in there, which snakes enjoy. They're a little bit happier that way. So all of those things, maybe I hadn't thought of it that way. What it will do, give me a chance to do though, is expand. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see the number of breeding females that I have. That should cap out around 130. And then if I'm incredibly successful and I need to grow from there, then it'll be a completely different business model.
So what this move does for you is it allows you to make more bets.
It does over the long period and grow a vision. And hopefully there's more to it than just making bets. That statement works within our analogy, but hopefully there's a little bit more to it.
Yeah. I got you. And there was this, Snakes for the Memories. I love the ultrasound, but right now trying to figure out how to ultrasound 300 females. How long does it take to ultrasound a female?
It could take 2, 3, 4 minutes. If you find them right away, but then you got to enter the information and track it, put them back where it goes. So I'd say 2, 3 minutes per animal, and you're talking 300. That's 1,000 minutes. I don't know how many hours that is, but 15 hours a month. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
To Phil's point, and maybe this guy Joe that we're talking about, the ultrasound doesn't change anything other than maybe how you use the male. The ultrasound just reports what's going on, but the ultrasound doesn't change anything, right? So at the end of the day, they're either going to go or they're not. You can give them the best environment possible, give them the best nutrients possible. I pair once a month. So I like ultrasounding. I like knowing what's going on, but ultrasound just verifies what's in there or what's in there. It doesn't change what's in there. Whereas affecting environment, affecting nutrients, affecting cleanliness, that all can change what's going on. So I'd rather focus on that stuff. So I do, it's easy, it's easier for me to say when I'm tracking 50-ish females versus 300. So I do like ultrasounding and I do it, but it doesn't change anything.
It makes, so this makes sense. Yeah. So this is making more and more sense to me as somebody who does not do this, it's like, so for a particular amount of time, you kind of go, well, I mean, you're playing a lot of odds here. It's sometimes out of your control. But what you're saying is that there are certain stages prior to that you can control more factors in order to make those odds work in your favor.
Correct. And it's a really great example of the mindset of do all the little things right for a long period of time. We forget, or people forget, this is a once a year shot. It takes a lot of dedication to stay focused for a year for that one payoff. And, something that you did in September or didn't do in September could really affect the outcome in April. We don't think about that. Like we like our likes right now. We like our clicks right now. We like our views right now. We don't do stuff that's 7, 8, 10 months out very often. And that is what this is. So getting those systems and processes and efficiencies and eliminating variables is so paramount. And to me, that's what I think this is my working philosophy. That's what separates the long-term success from, and again, I hate the word failure. So perhaps the difference between a hobby and a business would be a better response on that.
Or just stagnation. I mean, stagnating is, you're just trying and trying and trying over and over again, not affecting the factors that will get you to a better outcome. And how, I know we're over time, but how did you, when you first start doing this, for anybody who's starting out, and when you first start doing this, like, do you recognize this commitment that is a year long to get the odds or to get the kind of outcomes that you want?
Well, here's the really fun part about this. The people I think that make it the most or have the most success did not think of that.
Okay.
They did it out of the enjoyment and the wonder and the awe and the curiosity.
That's
and
funny.
they fell in love with it, because we've seen in the industry the people that go, oh, I figured it out. I watched Joe and Adam. They talked me through this. I can get to this 51.6 margin threshold and do better than, 51.6% of the competition. Bing, bing, bing. And they don't realize the work that goes into the amount of snake poop you're going to spend scrubbing and cleaning and rodent, world that you're going to live in. A lot of it's unpleasant. And the outcome is beautiful, but a lot of it's unpleasant. And so paradoxically, the people that don't think through all that and just naturally fall in love from a hobby standpoint, and then they take a stab at a business standpoint, are the ones that really seem to do well. Very few. As a matter of fact, I can't think of any that are successful that are just like, well, these are just commodities in a production line.
Yeah.
Because it's if it's only looked at that way, it's really truly unenjoyable. And even Phil was hinting at some things. He said earlier, well, if we really could control all of the outcomes and everything, it really wouldn't be that fun. Where in a business, you want to control all the outcomes. You're not right. Yeah. So there's that little slice of the pie to it that's pretty fun that way. Yeah, so great question. But yeah, paradoxically, no, I would say the people that go the farthest did not think about that to start with, and they learned that along the way.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, that's where the commitment comes in. That's why you want to commit, is because you have this awe and wonder in you about these animals.
Well, and today, oddly enough, so the thin margin of succeeding and not succeeding, it's almost like a little bait on a hook. Everybody thinks that you could be better than 51.6. Like we're all above average around here, right? Like we all can do this. That's why we're here. So it's this really, it's an inspiring and frightening number and statistic. That's pretty neat. And to wrap it all up, I have no idea. Time will tell if it's healthier or unhealthier than professional gambling.
Well, we'll see. You seem to be doing okay, so keep doing what you're doing.
Do you know what the perfect definition of okay is?
You're alive? I don't know.
51.6. Okay, yeah, just slightly above the average is okay.
Well, thanks for the conversation this morning. It's great. I learned a lot. So thanks. And thanks for everybody for joining and listening in.
Yeah, likewise, Joe. Happy belated birthday. Have fun on your shindig on Saturday. And we got to get out of here. You got taxes to file. I got business meetings to get to, and floors to build, and inspectors to dodge. All the fun stuff, man.
Well, have a good one, guys, and have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.